Hello everybody, this is a quick tutorial on objections, assuming somebody's already watched the reward-based crowdfunding platform explanation, but then they have come up with objections to it, and this hopefully will help address some of those issues. So it's a disruptive new idea, and everybody has to go through a number of stages. The first stage is reaction, then comes learning, then behavior, and then results. So the first reactions, or the most common ones, are simply, it will never be sustainable. Only a few will benefit, the majority will lose out, and it will collapse in a few months, and it looks like a pyramid scheme. So we're going to tackle all of these. First of all, anybody really genuinely interested needs to start with a bit of logic and understand how crowdfunding really works. Um, Objections are easy to make if somebody is not even interested. It's very easy to comment negative stuff on social media, but it's another thing altogether to actually want to do this and to get into it in order to understand how it really works. So here's an example of four business partners. If all of them contribute 25% each, you get 100% of the budget. But ultimately, only one person gets to keep the car and three others lose out. Is that right? Well, if you keep repeating the process over and over, you could have one car for one person in year one, repeat the process again, and you'll have two cars now, second car for the second person, third car for the third person in the third year, and the fourth car for the fourth person in the fourth year. And over 4 years, you will have four cars where each person has contributed 25% each every single year of the 4 years. And this is if you wanted to do it on a loan-free, cash-paid basis. Someone has to come up with 100% budget every year for one car each, and this is one way to do it. But something most people don't realize is that in the fifth year, you could repeat the process again, but now you have five cars and only four people. So what happens to the very first car? Well, it becomes a net asset, and let's assume that that net asset retains at least 20% of its original value. Remember, you paid 100% for it, but 4 years later, it's only worth 20%. It still is an asset. If you add the sale value of the selling price of a 20% asset uh, in the fifth year, what does it do to everybody else? Well, it reduces everybody's commitment by 5% each. So all of a sudden now the burden is lower for all the people because you have an asset. Same process repeated in year six. That's when your second car is sold. In year seven, your third car, and in year eight, your fourth car is sold. You will constantly have a previous older asset coming back into the system, and therefore you will be lowering the cost for each of the four people, but the number of people is still the same. Now, the learning curve is simply this, that it is actually possible if you had four people doing 25% over 4 years and repeating the process over and over. The numbers make sense. It's not very difficult to understand if you have a small number and a small example to give. Um, and all the cars remain cash paid loan free. There's full ownership, so all four people collectively own all of the assets, and it remains a member to member system where you bypass the middleman, which is the car loan or the car finance company. But there must be a catch, right? It looks like a pyramid scheme if it is organized like a pyramid scheme. To tackle this, we're just going to look at what a regulated pyramid scheme really is. Insurance, for example, is where thousands upon thousands of people pay in their insurance premiums. And then there's multiple layers of commissions that different aspects of that insurance actually earn. So at the very top is the reinsurer, where the policy, the large group-wide policy originates. Then comes the underwriter. Then you've got the group or specialist insurer. This could be life insurance, pet insurance, house insurance, car insurance, etc. And then you have price comparison websites that take their cut, and then you have finally the online labels that also need to make money, or independent agents. So this is what a pyramid really looks like, and everybody's happy with the structure as it is, and you end up trying to find the best deals online by comparing them to other people, but there are already multiple layers of commission built in. We, on the other hand, operate on no commission whatsoever. So how does it work when a pyramid pays out? Well, a lot of people's money is collected through multiple layers of commissions and then finally makes it to a pot. And this is after having paid shareholders their dividends and their share of the profit in the overall operation. But who actually gets to receive the benefit of this pot is those who qualify for the acclaim, and the majority don't qualify for the acclaim. They simply pay in the insurance, but a few people will qualify for the claim, and the priority or the order of priority is that he who qualifies first gets to make a claim first. So the next stage is, people will still have some behavioral issues with trying to get their head around how this system is supposed to work. And the normal objections again are, but what if there is still a lot to pay, like 20 to 25% in that example is a lot. And this will never really work for the masses because the majority are left out. And nobody wants to wait 2, 3, or 4 years, as in the example shown. And that's a very long period of time to wait. And it's just not sustainable. And someone will always be losing out in here. So let's try and tackle these objections. First of all, if you wanted to reduce the burden per person, you just have to include a larger number of people, and now you have reduced the percentage per person by increasing numbers. Mathematically, it's the same logic, it's just different numbers being applied. 100% divided by 4 is 25. 100% divided by 100 is 1% each. So if you just expand the same mathematical model, this is the result you get. So it is actually possible. You just have to know how to organize the numbers. This will never work for the masses. Well, there's all kinds of crowdfunding that actually works and has been working all right in front of our eyes. The government essentially is a crowd-funded organization by means of taxes. Banks use their lending ability is nothing more than the deposits of other people. The same is how pensions and insurance works. So these are all formal regulated entities that collect money from a large number of people and then serve a purpose one after another in order of priority. So another objection is usually nobody wants to wait 2, 3, or 4 years. Well, in this case, you only have to wait 3 months. This is why it is deliberately been designed where nobody gets to qualify in the first 3 months, and thereafter you could pick any qualifying time. It just depends on each individual's performance. Anyone could take 4, 5, 6, or 12 months or even more, but if you wanted to have a shorter qualifying period so that people don't have to wait 2, 3, and 4 years, then you would need more members, and that's why more contributions are necessary from the public. But how sustainable is it for others? Well, the thing is, it is sustainable for the simple reason that there is an order of priority. Qualifying members will get their cars first, and they will have the pot of funding granted towards them. The other members are still in the process of qualifying. They have not yet qualified. So just because somebody joins on day one doesn't mean they have automatically qualified on day one. There are certain conditions they need to satisfy, but if they can satisfy those conditions sooner rather than later, then the funding will be granted in their favor, provided they have exceeded 3 months of minimum membership. And this is how it simply is. Someone will always be the loser, is how people normally tend to describe it. Not true. The only losers will be the ones who choose to quit and just don't want to do this anymore. But there will always be some who will just leave the system. Some will be slow, and some will be very fast in qualifying with their criteria. But the point is that all who qualify have already ensured that there is enough funding available, that you would not qualify unless there was funding available. So those who qualify have almost guaranteed that there is funding available for them, so they have no problem getting a car funded. So it's just a question of some people wanting to quit, others being a little slow, and some being very fast in doing this. There are more objections, obviously. The remaining 81 people will get nothing. Well, yes, they will. All they have to do is be qualified. So let's say one crowd of people, and you can pick any random number. Let's say person number 81. Person number 81 does not automatically qualify just by being person number 81. They need 81 numbers of their own in order to qualify. Now, if you do the maths very simply, if all 81 people had 81 each, that is 6,561 people paying in monthly. That's a significant funding pool. That's a significant contribution coming into the pot. And it's then just a question of who qualifies. He who qualifies is ready to get their car funded. It's very, very straightforward. There's no shortfall. This is a cash flow rich model, and therefore obviously larger number of people are necessary so that the burden is easier on each individual involved. Some will be slower, some will be faster. Now, out of the new 81 people whose money is required to fund the 81st member, as in this example, well, the fact is that the other members have already also been paying. Their peers, in fact, people who were there before them, have also been paying in. So there is enough funding available for them to technically qualify straight away. But the reason they don't qualify is because it's the same condition for everybody. They need to satisfy their own criteria to draw some of that funding in their own favor. This cannot go on forever. Well, yes, it can. There comes a point when there are enough members in the system that implies not only a significant monthly cash flow, but also previously accumulated assets. And this is the whole point. Some cars will always be still with the members within a period of 2 years, but some other cars would have been there for more than 2 years. And when those cars come back, that is retired stock. That retired stock after 2 years can be sold off for anything like 40 to 60, maybe even 70, 80% of its original purchase price. And all of a sudden now the pot has a lot of extra cash coming in. So the value of the retired stock is very critical to understand that this is an asset and cash flow accumulating type system where member cash flow plus existing drivers paying in. Remember, existing drivers already got their cars funded, so their money is no longer going towards their own car. Their money is going towards everybody else's car. So unqualified member cash flow plus qualified member driver cash flow plus retired stock gives you a very significant asset and cash flow base with zero debt and zero liability. Hence, this business model will be of extreme interest to any investment banking person that knows how cash flow business models actually work. What do I get for my monthly payment? Well, according to the UK Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, 100% of all monthly payments must pay for the car and nothing else. And therefore, all member contributions are free of value-added tax. And therefore, that money cannot be used for any other purpose but buying a car. Now, what is your money buying you? Well, a fuel cap, a foot pedal, a wing mirror perhaps, or some part in the car is something that you can own, except if you haven't qualified, you don't get the whole car, but your money is paying towards a car. It's paying towards somebody's car, if not your own car, until such time that you are fully qualified in order to draw the funding towards your own car budget. What am I getting for my monthly payment? Well, you are building a car. Ultimately, your money is not going wasted somewhere else. You are building a car, and you are effectively a shared owner in all of the cars that are rolling out on the road. The rolling stock with qualified members has a contribution of your money in it. So therefore, you are now a co-owner in a small percentage. You're a co-owner of the entire fleet of cars. So like you, all others are paying for a car, but it becomes your privilege to choose as soon as you qualify. If you have qualified, you have a car. So your money has been paying into a pot that acts as a savings pot for your car till such time that you qualify. Now, what are the results really? Well, it's a disruptive new idea, right? So obviously you need like-minded people. You don't want people who want their car funded by everybody else and themselves are not willing to even make any effort or even help the rest of us. So all we ask is, you want us to help you fund your car, you need to help us back. And this is why the conditions have been put in place for the qualification. This is networking, but this is definitely not multi-level marketing or pyramid type marketing. Why? Because there are no commissions being paid to anyone, not even one level, let alone multiple levels. There are no commissions involved, therefore there is no cash gifting. So we are legally clean because all the money is set aside, and even the government authorities, those who are necessary, such as Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, they're aware of this business model, and we have been liaising with them. So we want to be regulated, to be honest, but no such regulations exist. So we'll probably end up helping shape some of the regulations in the future. But right now, there is, for a cash flow model like this, where there is no liability, no loans, no credit, no financial security involved, no such regulations exist. And we already have proven and succeeded in delivering 3 cars on the road to be handed on the 1st of April 2018. And this is how it started in August 2017. It started with 199 British pound, which is roughly $250. And by April 2018, 90,000 British pound, roughly 108,000 United States dollars worth of value is going to be handed over. So just at this halfway point, that represents a growth of 45,000% in just 7 months. This includes cash flow membership, cash flow from the membership, as well as assets worth 3 cars, each in the top bracket. So where should this projection take us in August 2018? Well, that's anybody's guess. A lot depends on the momentum we are able to gather. With the relaxation of the social media policy, this should gather a little more quickly than it has over the last 7 months. But this is what has been achieved and is undeniable so far. 45,000% is the rate of growth, a minimum rate of growth. In fact, it's a much more than that. But that is the rate of growth we have experienced in 7 months, because no commissions are paid to anyone and everybody's money goes towards literally an asset that belongs collectively to everybody in the name of the club. And this is how shared ownership simply works. If it takes 81 people to pay for a car, that a car is then handed to the qualified member right here in the middle. And that person every 2 years returns the assets back to the club ownership, back to the many people that owned or paid for it in the first place. But the fact is that although only 81 people were required to pay for the basic level car, the rest of the membership, everybody owns the car. So although 81 paid for a car, all own the car. And at the end of it, after 2 years of the qualified members' privilege to choose the make, model, color, trim, to their privilege to drive it for 2 years from brand new, their privilege to include tax and insurance within the budget to keep the monthly budget, monthly payments really low and consistent. And they had the privilege to choose the next car when they hand back the first car that they qualified for, and that asset is returned to the ownership of the many people who form the club. The club is nothing other than the members itself, and the cash flow is for the benefit of the members. So are the assets for the benefit of the members. It's just that amongst those members, he or she who has the privilege to choose, drive, and include tax and insurance in that budget, they're the ones that get the most benefit more quickly. The rest will eventually follow, simply because they all need to qualify similarly in order to get the funding, but the funding is now available because of the sheer number of people involved. So when people say, "What if I can't do this?" Well, it's a voluntary club. Nobody's forcing you. We are ideally looking for like-minded members, especially business-minded members, people who can see how this business model will be of benefit not only to them but to millions of other people. Because this is what it is. We've just cut out the banks, we've cut out second-hand car dealers, and we've cut out your need to have to pay for a car cash. And in any case, with all the other options, with a bank or a car finance, you have to put up a big deposit. You end up paying interest for a period of time, and that period of time you're usually locked into the deal, and at the end of it you still have a balloon payment to make. Used cars have issues. You have repairs and replacements for tires and spares and everything. Um, the economy is not always good on older cars, and you may not get the warranty if it is past its normal warranty period. If you're a cash buyer, a lot of people are proud to be cash buyers of cars, but you suffer all of the depreciation. It depletes your savings, which could be used for some better investment somewhere else. And you bear the full cost of everything that happens with that car, and it really is a poor investment. Crowdfunding, on the other hand, gives you full warranty from scratch because we insist on brand new cars only. Service is included, insurance is included, new cars are more economical. You can access the latest models every 2 years. There is no lock-in. You're not forced to pay interest for a certain period. You can quit anytime you want, except why would you build up a cash flow business that funds a car for you and then simply quit? It just doesn't make any sense. There's no deposit and balloon payment to make because your membership is all you're concerned with, and then all you have to do is do the necessary to qualify. There is no depreciation that you suffer. Why? Because every 2 years, a brand new car is replaced. So in fact, every 2 years, you're getting a newer car rather than having to live with a 2-year-old car. The new tires and spares, you have no issues with that for a brand new car, and this helps you save your household budget. It's a cash flow savings model. Thank you very much for watching this. We launch officially on the 1st of April 2018. The tickets to the event can be found on privilegedcarclub.com, and join now because large numbers of people will be coming in anyway. And we also plan to launch one of the very few asset-backed cryptocurrencies, but details of this will be given at the launch. This is not the leading discussion. This is just on the side. But because it is a cash flow and asset-rich model, we have the confidence to go ahead and launch a cryptocurrency as well to help with some capital funding. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.